Now let's bring in Coinshares CEO Jean-Marie Mognetti, because there is a lot of consolidation expected in this space. A lot of people are probably looking around and wondering, what does this do for you?
Thanks for having me, Tim and Sonali. It's great to be back. What it does for us, we started our journey 10 years ago, launching the first crypto ETP in Europe. We were the first one to launch crypto Bitcoin spot in Europe. And we are 10 years later, and now we get BlackRock and Fidelity kind of doing the same thing in the US. So for us, it's like two things. A, how do we expand our footprint and go and build a global franchise beyond the US, beyond Europe, in the US. And then the second point is really how do we start having an addressable market which is much bigger. The US American ETF market is 15 times bigger than the European. So for us, it's an extraordinary opportunity to keep growing our business, which started 10 years ago.
How do you compete against the big guys out there? How do you compete against the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Grayscales? I mean, in terms of this ETF that is now in your purview, it's relatively small when you look at the 10 other Bitcoin ETFs that are out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So first of all, I think the Bitcoin spot ETF in the US is a game which has been commoditized. Coinshares is a leader in Europe. We're becoming a global player, and by becoming a global player, we're becoming effectively the fourth biggest asset manager in digital asset, not the first one in Europe anymore, because of BlackRock, because of Fidelity, and Grayscale, who takes the leadership. And the question is we are the fourth in the picking order now, so we become a challenger. For us, it's a place we love to be. We love to be a challenger because that's kind of make our imagination and innovation kind of come out much more strongly. And how do we compete is very simple. The way we compete is by not going after the same things they're doing. We have been doing this Bitcoin stuff for 10 years in Europe. We're not going to do that in the US. For us, it's a table stake product to have in the US, but if you look at our other product, there is another ETF called WGMI for We're Gonna Make It, which is our Bitcoin,
great ticker.
Which is our Bitcoin miner ETF. It was the best performing ETF in 2023. It's a fantastic product, and we launched last week a 2x leverage Bitcoin ETF. So the idea is this big guy can do the old school product, the one we did 10 years ago, and we keep growing today. But in the US, we want to bring innovation. We want to bring something different. We want to bring the know-how of our hedge fund solution business, I would say, turbocharge into the distribution wrapper that the ETF allow you to do in the US.
Well, what about other crypto assets? There's a lot of excitement about the potential Ethereum ETF, but a lot of concern that the SEC might stop short of approving one. How do you feel about Ethereum as well as other ETFs in terms of tokens that could make it into the wrapper in the next year or so?
I think we need to be indulgent with the SEC. The SEC did the Bitcoin one. I think the ETH timeline, I was seeing some people making prognostic for May approval. That sounds a little bit, I would say, bullish on the narrative. I don't see it happening as quickly as Bitcoin. There is an old thematic around, is it a security, is it not a security? The staking parameter is creating a lot of questioning within the SEC. So I don't think it's going to be sorted out overnight. We are doing it in Europe, however. We have the whole suite of product in Europe. We have 19 products actually listed in Europe. So if there was something else, we can list in the US as a single spot exposure, we will do it very quickly and we'll be equipped to do it.
John, I want to go back to this 2x levered Bitcoin ETF that recently launched. It's all good when Bitcoin is up 70% in such a short period of time, but we know it's a volatile asset. What happens the next time there's a flash crash or a big decline? How do you protect yourself?
Well, how do we protect ourselves is because we have a diversity of product and people can decide which product we're buying and sell, which products they are buying and selling. We're not doing any advisory role here. We're just a provider of solution for investment. When it comes to diversification, there is a question about, is it time to start creating an inverse product, to start creating a leverage inverse product and all this other stuff, which allow people to, I would say, invest on the upside narrative, but also invest on the downside narrative. Eventually, you're going to end up with a full suite of product in the crypto universe as ETP, which would be there for making the narrative easier to invest in. This ETF vehicle is very, very much like the transformation from a B2B business model or a B2Geek business model where, we always say it's a retail market in crypto, well, it was a limited retail market in crypto. The adoption rate in the US is 12%, so it's still very, very new things. And what you want to see is like how this kind of ETF wrapper are creating almost this iPod moment, this kind of UI UX experience where all of a sudden you're opening your span of investor profile.
An iPod moment. I like the sound of that. Hey, Jean-Marie, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us once again here at Bloomberg. Coinshares CEO Jean-Marie Mognetti here on Bloomberg Crypto.